Alright, so I think finally it should be working. Alright, so here we were talking about the UI part, how to do the same thing what we have just done. So here, by the way, if you are interested, here is an example of almost every kind. So if you want to execute a Hive task, you can have a look at the workflow here also. It shows you an example workflow for running a Hive task, and you can combine these together, meaning if you have MapReduce task which runs after Hive, you can insert that action of MapReduce and say that on OK, start my MapReduce task. Alright. So let me just show you how would it look like. Let's say this is your Hive, or let me just copy Hive, and here is my the normal example, the other example. So here you can say action equals Hive node, and we can say that on OK, instead of going to end, go to Hive dash node. Okay, so as soon as this our MapReduce task finishes, the Hive node will get started. Hive task will get started. And what does Hive task say? Hive task say that this is my job tracker, task tracker. Again, you can see that we have utilized the variables, and we say that for preparing to start, do these kind of activities: delete this directory, create a output folder. If there is already output folder, delete that and create another output folder. And after that, here is the configuration part. We can say that you use this queue, and then we say that here is uh, our script. You can see the script.q. This you have to put in the same folder and then execute it. Okay, as you can see here, in Hive there'll be a script here, script.q. Okay, so the full project, everything in this project exists on the HDFS except for job.properties, which you have to keep a local copy. Alright, so this is from the command line. If you have to do the same thing, if you have to do the same thing from the workflow here, you can create a workflow from the UI. You can say create, and let's say we call it 18 April demo. Okay, and yeah, uh, save it back. Now in this we can start end is already there. If we have a MapReduce task, we can drag and drop it here. We can specify our jar name. We can specify a name for this, and then we can say done. Okay, so it says that this is required, my MR job, and let's say we just pick up any random user, student. There'll be a student folder, there'll be sgiri folder. So I'm picking up the some jar just to for it to run, and here say character count.jar I'm picking up. Okay, and we can say done. So this is my MR task. You can put more details into it by clicking on edit button, and in that you'll have to prepare the properties. So these prepare, add, deletion or make directories you can do, and these things will get executed before your job runs. So if you remember that every time you run MapReduce, it creates an output folder, and in case that output folder already exists, then it has to delete first. So those kind of operations, so add, delete, you can do here, and those basic things you can specify over here. All right, also you can specify other input data. Also you can specify the job XML file, okay, the actual XML which will run the, okay. Now say after that you want to execute pig and hive in parallel. So what will you do? So let's say this is your pig script, and you click on done, and let's just pick up any pig script. Anybody's pig script. So do we have a pig script anywhere? It's not there, yeah. We have to go into student, and there may be some of you must have know this. We have to go students. So under this, let's just pick up anything. We are not going to execute anyway. So now you have pig. Now let's say parallel to pig, you want to have another job called hive. This is your hive job, imagine. So let's just pick up any 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 file. Ideally, it should be your. So you can see that here it has. If you drop something over to something, it basically creates a parallel task. Okay. So this is your scoop task. Okay. And so you can see that. So uh, here also you can see at every point it has created here two forks. Basically this task and this task are going to get executed in parallel. Alright, and if you want to join them, you can join them here. So basically, to create a decent workflow, this UI will do a very good job. Also, it provides you basically a UI element for creating all kinds of tasks. So whatever we have discussed here, the same task it provides. So MapReduce executes MapReduce task, streaming executes streaming task, and Java executes Java task, pig, hive, scoop, shell, ssh, discp. So Java will execute any Java program, okay, while pig will execute pig script, hive will execute hive script, scoop will execute scoop commands such as export, import, whatever we had discussed earlier, or generate the hive schema. Those kind of commands scoop can execute. And then there is shell command. If you want to execute a shell command after the things are done, then you can use shell. Otherwise, you can use SSH if you want to SSH onto any particular machine. Okay, please note that the whole workflow will execute on any of the machines in the network. So you really are not sure exactly on which machine it is going to get executed. So therefore, we never refer to the local files in any of the workflow, and therefore almost every file interaction has to be from HDFS. But in case you have to execute something on a particular node, say Hadoop 1, Hadoop 2, use SSH. SSH not only so if you guys have not realized, so we can execute any command on a remote machine from anywhere. So we want to say on Hadoop 1 we want to execute ls, for example. Okay, so we can say ls minus l. So this will execute this command on Hadoop 1 remotely from my laptop. Alright. So similarly, we using SSH we can execute a remote command. Then we have dist copy similar to Hadoop FS, basically to do the file system operation on the HDFS, both of these. And we have email. So probably every software has email. So this basically sends an email that my work is done. And then we have sub workflow. Okay, sub workflow is something like you have created this workflow, saved it somewhere as an XML, and now you can call this workflow using sub workflow in any other workflow. Or in another words, we can say using sub workflow we can call somebody else's workflow. So if you have created separate workflow using this UI, we can simply pick up that one and execute it. Okay, we can simply pick up and then execute it as part of this workflow. So sub workflow makes it possible to to execute remote tasks. Similarly, we have execute. We can take execute basically generic one which can execute any program. Okay, which can execute any program. So that basically gives you a fair amount of idea on how to use Oozie to execute your whole project. All right, make sense to you? All right, let's okay. So I hope that task is done, or it has failed. It's still running. What happened to this? Actions, this is my logs. There'll be a log somewhere. Detail, application path, configuration, logs. Probably it's stuck at somewhere. We need to see that. It's stuck in the prep mode itself. Anyway, I'll look into it later. No worries. But the full everything remains with the way it is described here. Okay, so here we are. Now, all right. Okay, so I hope the Oozie was helpful. You can read more documentation of Oozie here in this, okay, at this location. Alright, so that was pretty much about Oozie, and we have gone through Mahat. So, any questions here? No questions? Good. Alright, now let's talk about project. So, alright, so the way we have designed project is that you pick up a project, whatever we have done, the basic one, and then you go further from there, and the more the deviation, the better performance you give, the more marks we generally reward individual. Okay, so we have here, I'll show you what does it mean by deviation. So we have this project discussion document. You can open that. All right, you can open the project discussion document. All right, so the statement is you have to do the sentiment analysis based on tweets data from Twitter. Okay, so the steps outlined here are a primitive strategy for sentiment analysis of the movie called Iron Man. We are trying to here in this project, this is a sample project, an example project. The your strategy should be that first follow exactly what we have done here, and then once you are confident enough, then you move ahead with the deviation possible. Okay, so the project, basically this sample project, what it does is it uses Hive to do the computation of sentiment analysis, the data of which is downloaded using Flume, and we have already downloaded the data for you. So the overall objective of the project from the end user is that we should be able to do the sentiment analysis of Iron Man movie before and after the release across across the whole uh, uh, world. Okay, so so here's the basic strategy. You can go for other deviation to the project. For example, you could change the approach a little bit different, the way you compute the sentiment. Right now, the way we are computing the sentiment, if a sentence has positive words, we basically sum up all the positive words and negative words, uh, and then whatever is the outcome, based on that we decide whether it's a negative or a positive sentiment of a sentence. So given a sentence, the current strategy in this example down is here is that we count all the negative words, we count all the positive words, we subtract the total number of positive words, total number of negative words from the positive words. If it is negative, that means the sentence is negative, and if it is positive, then sentence is positive. So instead of that, the first deviation could be you give -1 to this okay. Instead of change the approach of -1 1 to 0, you should give odd number, which means 1 to negative word, even to positive word, and 0 to neutral words, and then you sum it up. And when you sum it up, if there are two negatives, they will make a positive, which means odd number. Two, if there are two odd numbers, they will make an even number. And if the overall, if the sentence, the sentiment of the whole sentence is odd number, that means it is negative sentence. If it is even number, then it's a positive sentence. So this is just one example of the approach. You can think over other kind of approaches how to compute the sentence sentiment, then you can come up with other approach. All right. So, and you can use pig instead of hive. This whole project basically is based on hive. You can change the hive to pig and port all the queries into pig Latin from SQL. Or you could have a deviation such as you have the completely different algorithm to compute the sentiment. The first algorithm we have mentioned here is this one. Or you could basically use a completely different algorithm based on NLP. Okay, if you are an NLP expert, then you might want to do that. Okay, NLP is natural language processing. Other is start afresh with a different movie. That will be a simpler thing to do. Instead of Iron Man, you could compute the analysis of the some other movie. Or instead of Flume, you could use instead of our Flume pipeline, you could use some other Flume pipeline. We have already downloaded the data. You can try to download it again. Or you could basically create your own program to download data from Twitter. Right now we have used a Flume pipeline to download the data from Twitter, and we have used a third-party library to connect to Twitter. You could use your own, or you could use some other one. Next is we are going to use Excel sheet, Microsoft Excel, to do the analysis of the data. You can use D3JS or Tableau or BERT for the display of the data. Alright, so the steps are like this. You log into this place. Okay, you will see these folders. So let me just go to this folder directly. So after you log into Hue, you will see this folder. It contains your full sentiment analysis data. Asgiri, Senti, upload data. In this, you have tweets raw. These are the raw tweets downloaded from Twitter. Alright? And this is our file containing time zone map, meaning it basically gives two columns. One is country, other is time zone. Next is the dictionary. Dictionary is the most important one. Based on a word, it gives us whether it's an adjective, noun, is it negative or positive. Okay? So this dictionary is also available as part of the data. And then we have yeah, So under this we also have the Hive script, okay, sample Hive script that you can utilize. Okay, so once you have understood the data here, go through the script called hivedll.sql. Okay, in this same folder you see hivedll.sql here. Okay, also you have to download JSON Survey locally. So we have provided you one here with the Survey, which means a serializer deserializer that contains the serializer deserializer for loading the data from JSON format and writing in the JSON format. Okay, so since our tweets are in the form of JSON format, we are going to use this particular serializer deserializer. Okay, you can have a look at the tweets again. Go to the data. Under this, you will have tweets raw. Under this, you pick up any of the gunzip file. It will show you the, basically it's a zipped file, but we are able to open it using Hue. So it shows you this is a JSON structure of the file. Okay, now go through this file. Here in the first step we are creating an external Hive table using using the Survey which we have imported above. We have added the jar in our script. So you open the command prompt of Hive, you start executing one by one and executing these commands one by one, understanding what each does. Okay, so this particular command will create tweets raw. Now, next step is to load dictionary. Note the keyword called external because these are external files. Do not create internal table because if you delete your table, then this dictionary file will get deleted. Okay. Then once you have created the dictionary file, you have to create the time zone. Okay. And once you have created the time zone table, this is also external table. You don't own this data, so please don't create internal table. Create external table, otherwise it will delete my data. Okay. Next is tweets. This is a view. Note that it's a view, and this is view on top of tweets raw. It's basically picking up ID of each tweet. Each tweet has got an ID. Okay, like we have seen here, there's an ID, creation date, source, favorites, retweet. All of these are fields here. So go through this file, understand how does it compute the polarity, and then once you are done with the whole flow, execution of the whole flow, it will create the data into something called tweets BI. Okay, the tweets BI will contain the end result, and we will represent tweets BI in our Excel file. Next step in this is installing Hortonworks Excel driver. You can install Microsoft Excel driver from Hortonworks provided here. Once and note that make sure that your operating system, whatever is your operating system, whether 64-bit or 32-bit, make sure the Hortonworks driver is of the same type. Okay, and specifically first, basically you should check the uh, whether your Microsoft Excel is 64-bit or 32-bit. Okay, once you have done that, then you connect from there. You will try to test it here. Once the text is successful using these steps, okay, using if you go into the testing, the detailed instruction for installing Excel driver is provided on this PDF. Once you have successfully installed the driver, then you can create the driver, and these are the authentication details. We all know these details, right? And once that is done, you can follow this document to execute the query on Hive server. So essentially what you are doing inside Microsoft Excel, you have installed a data source, which data source will be connecting to Hadoop one's Hive server, and from there it will bring the data. Okay, Hive also provides server, as we have told, that we can connect to Hive server from anywhere. Okay, and execute our query via JDBC driver. Alright, so this way you should be able to execute your query. and represent this data in various graph. Once you have done at least this much, you are able to reach to this level, give the print screen and send me the print screen. Okay. Once you have been able to present all of this, maybe either you create a video recording of your whole project or just do the screenshot and send it to me. Okay. So right now the first approach for the project is you follow this strategy and try to get everything done, and by the end of this stepwise process you will be fairly confident as to what's going on and what all can be done to improve this. So so this is the project for you. All right, are you guys with me? Yeah. Hello. Yes, please use this project, same project, all of you please use. Okay. And you use the same setup for the project, and try to understand what's going on. Okay. If you have any doubts, drop me an email. If you have any doubts about this project, drop me an email. And if you want to go for deviation, do inform me so that I can help you out. All right. Yes. Not only Excel sheet. Okay. No, other than Excel sheet, you please submit the screenshot also. Okay. Because Excel sheet might not run on my machine because of various reasons. Okay. So along with your Excel sheet, submit your screenshots. Okay. So you have to submit two files. One is Excel sheet, other is a zip folder containing all the screenshots. Not of all this step, just the last one. Just the last one where we are representing data like this. These ones. Okay. Where we are displaying the data. Okay. All right. So you have to submit this thing. Also, the you can basically download all of this data and start working. Okay. Just that in case you are using my data, make sure that while changing the script here, while changing the script, do not the don't remove the external keyword. Otherwise, if you delete your tweets underscore raw, then everything will get deleted. Also, before starting with Hive, please create your own database. Okay, please create your own database so that everything is in your database. Okay, we might check your database to make sure that you have been able to successfully run it. Okay, and from your own database only in you will be connecting here when we have this. If you see, it will ask for the database here. Okay, you instead of selecting default, you mention your own database. From while you will connect while you connect from Excel sheet to our server, there you will do the okay, there you'll define the database. Okay, now Nitika's question is how will it work on a sentiment analysis. So if you look at this file is actually computing all of the sentiment analysis. We have got files containing Twitter's data. We loaded that into tables. Now at each step, basically each row in this table contains the text of the tweet. Okay, you can see that the text of the tweet. Here is your string, is your word, and clean tweets would be there. Yeah, tweet simple. So here text of the tweet, okay, contains the full tweet name. Now in this step we have only selected parts of it. Next one, we are going to break this tweet into into words. Okay, you can see explode the sentences, and once we have exploded into the sentences, we join this tweet's data with our dictionary of the words. Here we are joining this with the dictionary. You can see dictionary we are joining with our L2. L2 is what we have created in this step, and then we are doing computation of polarity. If the keyword is found negative, we give -1. If we find positive, we give 1. And once we have given the polarity to each word, we again sum up all the polarity per tweet. Okay, you can see the polarity. So we count total number of negative words and positive words. And if the sum is greater than 0, we tell that the tweet is positive. If the sum is 0, less than 0, we give it negative. Otherwise, we give it a name as neutral. Now, once we have done that, although this particular thing was not required, we could have actually put 1, 2, 1, and 0 here, and that's all. And then we represent the data into the output. Okay, you can see that. All right, but you can this everything works fine. It works perfectly fine. You can go stepwise and display it. All right. All right. Then Nitika's next question is, then by using my own database, all external tables creating instead of it. Yes, you can do that. Okay. Yeah, drop me an email quickly and I will be able to give you hints to solve your problem if you face any problem. All right. Drop an email to Hadoop at no big data. Hadoop at no big data. All right. And that should give you any other questions. So we are pretty much through with today's session. Do you have any questions for me? And the timeline, keep in mind the timelines. Okay. So we started on 18th. So this is not really correct timeline. It has to be, and date is 24th today. Okay. 24th, and which means everything is going to be okay. So from today itself, 24th, the session has started, and then you can basically, yeah. All right, any questions for me? All right, let me just do it for you. Yes, it looks like it is already created project, but the deviation to it is your job. Okay, deviation to it is your job. This is a basic project which I'm giving it. Okay, so in this kind of project, the way we run the whole thing, we basically look at your own creativity. At what level what all improvision you want to give. Okay, if and this basic project is given to you so that you feel you get a little confident at doing things hands-on by yourself. Okay. All right. So now the dates are correct. So 31st May is your assignment submission date, and 7th June is your project submission date. Okay. 7th June is your project submission date, and your certificate will be issued on June 14th. Okay. So make sure at least you finish your all assignments. Okay. All right. Okay. So any other questions? Thank you, Nitika. Feel free to make your this thing your messages public. It's okay. And yeah. All right. Your Nitika, your messages are private. And thank you, Nitika. And I hope you enjoyed the session. All right. So feel free to get in touch if you have Yeah. So go through HBase again, and that should give you an idea. Or you can join the okay, you can join the next session of the morning batch. You can drop me an email because HBase is just getting started there. Okay. So yeah, all right. So in the morning session, which is going ahead. Oh, you mean to say the HBase assignment question you want to be explained again? All right. So let me just okay. So here we have. So the question with respect to HBase is that imagine that you have to design a Gmail like server, the Gmail like storage, where you have a lot of inboxes containing lot of emails, and each email you can think of as a single file, or it's up to you. It's up to you. Each email can have its own database table, where whether you want to keep from to subject line and text, and how do you keep all of this information in the table, or do you want to put the whole email as the cell value, or whether you want to keep a single database table for all users' emails. Not only one user's email, but all users' email do you want to keep in a single table? So that is the question. How do you cater to it? So the usual operation on email we all know that a user logs in, checks his email, he replies or he deletes it, or flags it. Okay, let's assume for simplicity that there are no such thing called labels. The user only reads the data, reads the email, or deletes the email, and sends the email. Okay, okay. So sending email is not part of it. Basically, you have to build a storage only, meaning all the emails that are coming to the server get stored in your database. Okay. So Nitika is saying the email ID is row key. So now the question arises, do you want to keep the email ID as the row key, or do you want to keep the reverse of email ID as the row key, or you want to keep the email ID as column key, and various okay. So those things, so on the prima facie email ID looks like a good row key, but if you think about it, when a user logs in, he will see, he will basically query for the row ID, right? He'll query for the row ID. That means a row ID has to be unique. And all the emails, will they be the different columns in the same table? Okay? Or one email, so yeah. So you have to think about it. So when an email comes in, will you be adding more and more columns into this table, or will you be adding more and more rows into the table? So that you have to think about and come up with a design. Okay? You have to tell me there are five tables. Table 1 is for this, table 2 is for this, or for whenever we are creating a user, create one more table into HBase, and each table is representing the user's data. Keep in mind that there will be millions of users. Alright? What is your question, Nitika? What is the doubt? Also note that there is no single right or wrong answers to this. It's an architecture question, and architecture questions have no true or false kind of answers. Okay, what is exactly the question, confusion to you? It is up to you. That design is left to you, Nitika. And it is a little generic question. And most of it, when you are designing the architecture, the data model, it is up to you to decide how many tables are going to be there. Alright? Is the strategy you have to decide. And whatever the strategy you have to decide, you have to defend it. Okay? Whether we want to keep one table or millions of tables, it is absolutely up to you. Alright? Okay, then that's pretty much for today. And thank you very much, everyone. Yes, you have to write theory. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. First, you have to define that these are the tables which you create, and then you have to say what table is going to have what, and then you have to give a justification. Then why do we need this kind of thing? What are the problems are you trying to solve in this? Okay. I have taken an email example because all of us use email day in day out. All right. Okay, Amar and Malvika, it was a great session, and the first session which has got extended to 12 sessions, and I really like it. Probably in future sessions we might change our syllabus to 12 sessions because none of the things which we have discussed, we cannot avoid any of these things at all. Okay. Okay. And thank you, Huda. And it was nice to have you in the session. And probably the first woman from Saudi Arabia in our this session. And we have Minu. And thank you, Minu. It's nice to have you in the session. All right. And thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Anitika. Yes, you can access these video access will be lifelong to all of you, and we'll keep it lifelong if the company does not shut down. So it will be lifelong for all of you. Okay. Even if I mean, you can download it if you need it. All right. So thank you, Vinay. I hope you liked the session, and feel free to refer to your friends. And if you guys like to stay connected or you want to you write a blog or something, do let us know. All right. And if you have in future, if you get stuck somewhere, you can drop us an email, and we try to help our students out. And also, we will keep you informed about jobs in case there are jobs, because there are a lot of people who keep on contacting us. So based on your performance in quiz, we generally refer you to our to our prospective to the the people who are looking for the candidates. Okay, so make sure that you finish your Hive big assignments. No matter if it takes 10 attempts to finish that, do the 10 attempts. Okay, in the first time if you are taking a quiz, it might your lot of guesses might be wrong, but in the second attempt you will generally cross better than 80%. So do that. It's not a cheating, it's a way to learn. Okay, so attempt as many times as possible the quiz, and make sure that your quiz, at least quiz answers should be up to date, and should you should have at least attempted that. Okay, thank you very much. I stay connected. Bye bye.